The desert is beautiful but cruel, and navigating it can be harsh. And Miami has felt the sting in the Arizona desert. The two most painful losses in Hurricane history happened right here in Arizona. This bowl, one they've never won. And to restore the U, the obstacle is the way. Ole Miss has faced the obstacle, jilted by a coach. The Rebels didn't stay in downward dog, and now they have a golden opportunity. The offense is bolstered by temp workers on a staff doing double duty and fueled by a leader of an unlikely Rebel alliance in Trinidad Chambliss, a national champion at Ferris State. But the Rebels, as they get set to take on Carson Beck and the Canes, Ole Miss is through trying to prove people wrong, because all they have is all they need. Will that be enough to keep it from being all about the U?
Few ever reach this point. Fewer survive it. Only those who hold on earn a chance at everything. Once on the outside looking in, the Canes have proven to all they're here to stay. Tested from the inside out, the Rebels have turned uncertainty into strength. Hold on or go home.
What a throw! Racing to the end zone! Intercepted!
This is big. Both these teams have so much pride.
Malachi Tony! He doesn't lose foot races!
That's big time. There's going to be one team to continue and play again. Why not us?
Intercepted! A pick six!
The most resilient team in college football.
He's got a touchdown, Miami!
Their biggest win in 23 years.
Beautifully executed! What a night he's having! Chambliss continues a superb performance.
That is impossible to do.
College Game Day, live from Glendale, Arizona, is built by the Home Depot, proud sponsor of college football's premier pregame show. College football playoff semifinals start tonight here in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss and Miami. The Hurricanes, the final at-large team to make the field. Ole Miss, the last SEC team standing. They are the 6th seed. Winner goes on to the national championship game for the Canes. Potentially, that would be in their home stadium in tomorrow night Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, an all-Big Ten affair and a rematch between Oregon and Indiana. But we'll get it started first here tonight with the Rebels and the Hurricanes in State Farm Stadium. Delighted to have you with us. Reese Davis alongside Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard. Nick Saban won national championship in this building, by the way.
Which building hasn't he?
The Airport. And Pat McAfee.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here in every building that hosts national championships. I think we can say Coach Saban has won it. Welcome back home. I've also had some incredible memories in this place. This stadium is remarkable. These people obviously electrifying. And we did some quick math before we went live. 136 teams tried to get to these Final Four spots. 132 are sitting at home watching these 4 squads that I think are going to dazzle all football fans around the entire country. Tonight, 2 improbable stories are meeting in a semifinal to kick this entire thing off. Cristobal has Miami all the way back, and Ole Miss is golding the greatest coach of all time because he's been able to keep everything on the track. And then tomorrow night, the Big Ten decides who they're going to send to the national championship. It's a wonderful time to be alive. It's the greatest time to be a ball fan. And Super Football Weekend with Super Wildcard Weekend this weekend kicks off with 2 semifinal games that are going to be majestic, to say the least, Reese. College football season has been magical. Playoffs have been impeccable. And tonight is going to be
spectacular, awesome, terrific, stupendous.
I love everything about it. And boys, I love seeing you. It's great to be out here. And this Miami Hurricanes fans base that are sitting right outside of our set here, they're excited and honored for the opportunity. And Ole Miss people are too. This is a beautiful thing.
There have been all kind of Ole Miss people around town too. I think they've been looking for the Grove and the tailgates. They got here a little earlier than the Miami people. They made it a weekend here so far.
I heard some of the FBOs were shutting down to the Miami people. You know, that was a big play. I might have got caught up in that this day, but yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful time, beautiful people, and these fan bases are certainly very grateful for the opportunity, which I think you're going to see throughout the next 2 days.
You know what? They've also made the Fiesta Bowl officials a little bit nervous. They usually stagger the arrivals of the teams. There's some intensity. They both got here at about the same time, walking out on the field. We saw them walk the field behind us just a few minutes ago. So for the game tonight, they're meeting for the first time since 1951. So for all intents and purposes, first meeting in the modern era. And this Miami pass rush with Ruben Bain Jr. and Team Mesidor absolutely wrecked Ohio State. They lead the nation in pass rush win rate. But the problem is you can beat your blocker, but can you get Trinidad Chambliss on the ground? Against Georgia, he traveled 794 yards in the game and made so many spectacular broken plays, and they had a great performance from their wide receiver, Harrison Wallace III. Now, when Miami has it, yards after the catch, a big deal. Malachi Toney was very quiet against Ohio State. Tackling's been an issue for Ole Miss, particularly in the secondary, and Toney, one of the best, catching the ball and getting it in his hands, but this is what Miami wants to do. Run the ball with Mark Fletcher Jr. behind Francis Mauigoa in that big offensive line, control the clock, shorten the game, keep their defense off the field. Defense is the calling card for Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding. We have a couple of reports, and we'll start with Laura Rutledge, who is with the Rebel Boss.
Coach Golding, the last time we saw Trinidad Chambliss, he was wowing everyone, winning the Sugar Bowl. How can he build off of that tonight against this Miami D-line?
I think just stick to the basics. He's done it all year. He does a great job in his preparation. Coach Judge does a great job with him. Charlie puts him in a lot of really good spots. So he's got to play well tonight with playing against a really good defense.
What's the key to affecting Carson Beck?
You know, we got to give him a lot of different looks. He's a very experienced quarterback. You know, we got to get him off course. We got to do a good job stopping the run early. I think the big thing's changing the pitcher and not giving the same thing every time.
All right, thank you so much, Pete.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Well, Coach Cristobal, you told me you don't bring in celebrities or former players to talk to your team to get them fired up. It's you and your team. What have you said to them today that they will carry into this game?
Well, our message is very private and confidential. I will say this, throughout the entire course of the year, several of our alumni come back and speak to our players all the time. So the messaging is strong and consistent throughout the entire year.
One of the things you've got to be mindful of to kick off against Ole Miss is their tempo. They go fast. The ball is out of the quarterback's hand quickly. How can you adapt to the speed of this game very fast?
They have an elite football team. For us, it's about every single play, all 11, relentless and physical.
Thank you, Coach.
No.
That's how Miami has gotten to this point. Mario Cristobal's quarterback, Carson Beck, has won his last 8 starts, or his teams that he's quarterbacked, won their last 8 starts against ranked opponents. The last loss? Ole Miss and the Pete Golding defense. There are so many compelling storylines in this.
Yeah, so many movies could come out of tonight, and I think with what we just heard Coach Cristobal do echoes the sentiment of what he's done all season, and that story could easily be, I ain't telling you nothing, which is basically what he has done for all media. But whenever you talk about Carson Beck, you can tell the story of the rise, the fall, then the rise again of Carson Beck. Whenever he leaves Georgia, nobody really knows what's going to happen. Then he comes down here to Miami, finds himself again, and they got an incredible football team. Then you talk about the Ole Miss coaching situation. It's like, is Golding the greatest coach of all time? No offense, Coach Saban. Being able to keep that entire team how they are, with all the distractions, Lane Kiffin leaving, maybe Ole Miss, Pete Golding, the golden era of coaching down there in Oxford. And then last but not least, Trinidad Chambliss. This guy was D2 national champ last year. Now, could he be D1? Is this guy the D2 and D1 king? There's a chance for all those things, Coach Saban, tonight.
Yeah, and this guy is a tremendous guy to make plays off schedule. I mean, it's unbelievable. The 3 plays that he made in the Georgia game that gave them the lead in the game, they were Fran Tarkenton-like. Fran Tarkenton's a Hall of Fame guy. This guy can do it all. I mean, he is really a good player, but I do think it's going to come down to, can Miami's defense corral this guy and control him? And can Carson Beck not turn the ball over? Those 2 things are going to be really important in this game, Dave.
I've been so impressed with Ole Miss head coach, man, Pete Golding. I mean, from day one, November 30th, he was promoted to head coach, and he did a tremendous job right out the gate. He went and got a haircut. I mean, you got to look the part. If you're going to play the part, look the part, got a haircut. But, guys, seriously, though, we talk about the distractions, obviously with Lane Kiffin leaving, moving on to LSU. He's done a tremendous job of corralling the players, keeping their spirits up high, making sure that they're competitive every single week, and just keeping guys focused on what the goal is. I think that's what we saw the last game when they played Georgia, RD.
You know, I mentioned in the scene set Miami's lack of success in this game. The last time that they were here was that loss to Ohio State. They've wandered in the wilderness since. Wasn't long ago. You got a hero's welcome. We went back to Miami because of some of the things you said to them about if they wanted to get back on a stage like this, they had to get serious.
Yeah, remember Nevin Shapiro's situation, and Miami almost faced a death penalty. And on the back end of that, they tried to get right with Al Golden. I think they went through 3 head coaches, 2 interim coaches, from 11 to 21. And I remember in 21, I think we were at Soldier Field doing a kind of a regional game there for College Game Day in one of those early games. And I remember just getting to a point where we were all just like, is Miami in or are they out? And this is what I said in 21. You have an athletic department that clearly is not really showing that this is something that they are willing to try to make changes. The president, there was an article from Barry Jackson this week that came out, said that the president basically told Blake James, the AD, hey, sports, you're on your own. That's your thing. So I don't think it matters who the head coach is until you get a president and an AD and a coach together on the same page.
Yep.
I guess football doesn't matter. It matters to the alums, to the brotherhood of the U.
Right.
But I don't know if it matters to the people making decisions at Miami. And if they don't change that, it doesn't matter who's the head coach is. First of all, that was about 20 pounds.
Hey, you look good.
First thing I saw is I'm fat as hell.
No, you look good.
First thing I thought. I didn't even hear what I just said. I was just like, dang, wow. I look a lot better right now.
I still look good. You've always been a handsome lad. Come on.
Hey, real quick, though, you should be proud of that. You should be proud of that. Herbie, you look good.
I got lost in transition, but you know what I was saying. And I cannot tell you how many Miami fans, you probably have Miami people down there,
Absolutely.
they come at me like, because I didn't try to get anybody like, but I think it just transitioned them, Coach, to be like, you know what, we're tired of being embarrassed. We are going to be committed to football starting right now. And I think from that point on, Mario Cristobal got hired. They got more committed to the program. Obviously now with NIL, this is meant to be, and Miami's here for a reason.
Well, we worked with Dan Radakovich when he was at LSU as an assistant. And this guy's first class all the way around. He knows how to build a program. He understands process of good organizations, and he's done a wonderful job there.
No doubt.
I don't even want to get it. President, remember we met the president whenever we were down there. He's a former private equity guy. So when you talk about needing money and financials and investing in sport, it's like Miami has done that. Ole Miss, I think, could say, hey, we're doing the same exact thing. Them flipping their own guys to stay at Ole Miss with this Golding conversation, it's like obviously they got the bag happening, they got wins. You're talking about it, whenever you're in the Final Four, it feels like everybody has to be committed.
Yeah.
We're all thankful Miami's back in the conversation.
Amen.
I think they wanted to show that video to show that Kirk is aging backwards. I think that was the whole purpose of that video.
It's that science. It's that science.
Are you guys watching what he just did there?
What did he do?
Left hand?
He's throwing the ball.
Well, what the heck?
Just in case. Just in case you have to do.
That's his left-handed drop.
Right?
Are you serious?
He's a special talent,
Yeah,
man.
he's a freak athlete.
Or it's Austin Simmons, one or the other. I can't tell. That may be Austin Simmons. That may be Austin Simmons.
If we could get a little better deal, it may be Austin. If we get a little better shot on the height, we'd be able to tell.
There you go.
It could be it. Still to come. College Game Day, all 4 head coaches in the college football playoff. From the Nick Saban tree, we'll break down the dominance of that group and how it's shaping up in the semifinals and the impact it's had on all 4 guys who will lead their teams. Good catch on Simmons, by the way, because clearly Trinidad Chambliss is right-handed, but he can run either way, and he might flip it, and what an encore it could be if he can follow up that virtuoso performance in the Sugar Bowl, and it has not been about the U for nearly a quarter of a century. But maybe it will be this year after body slamming the Buckeyes. Now they run into the Rebels tonight.
College Game Day is built by the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
2016 National Championship game for the 15th season. Nick Saban and Alabama won here. A couple of special teams plays. Onside kick, kickoff return for a touchdown.
Gutsy call.
Yeah, it kind of became a basketball game. We had to get turned around so we could be 2 scores ahead.
And look at a couple of guys who were on the field that night with Alabama. Mario Cristobal And Dan Lanning was a graduate assistant. Kurt Signetti, Pete Golding, the other two guys in the semifinals, also cut their chops at Alabama. Not to mention the guy who called plays for Alabama that night was Lane Kiffin, the former Ole Miss coach. You know, it is said that just about anybody on the planet, you can connect them by fewer than 6 degrees of separation. I mean, you could look at it and say Pete Golding coaches against Mario Cristobal. They once lived in a similar neighborhood. Cristobal once inhabited the office that now belongs to Dan Lanning, and Lanning coaches against Kurt Signetti, and they used to sit sort of across from each other in the same meeting room, but you don't really have to dig that deep. You can just look at the direct path back to Nick Saban. The things that they've put to hone their coaching chops, all 4 playoff coaches directly rooted to the standards and the process of the tree planted by Nick Saban.
I think the first time I met Coach Saban was my senior year of high school, and he had an official visitor in from Ohio, and he needed somebody to host this fellow on an official visit. And somehow I ended up being that host. Now, we didn't get the guy, so, you know, I was 0 for 1.
Yeah, first time I met Coach, I was interviewing for a graduate assistant job, and I just remember the detail that he went into in the interview, you know, asking me about my philosophy, asking about really my football experience. I was certainly pretty intimidated at the time, but was really excited about the opportunity.
Good practice. Come on now. Good practice. The way that coach used all the resources, the way he was demanding of himself as well as the staff, the organizational aspect, the structure of the entire year, and everyone's specific role as it related to every detail and every day of that calendar was fascinating. And it was something that I took relentless notes on and still have to this day, those notebooks.
My favorite Coach Saban memory probably is getting cussed out at kids camp. Right, I was running bag drills. One of our strength coaches was helping out, and he left the drills to me. And I'd just gotten there, really didn't know what to do. I found out really quickly that I was doing it wrong. Coach came over and he set me right.
My most memorable time being chewed out by Coach Saban? I was never chewed out by Coach Saban.
Fridays in the off season, we got 2 golf courses in Tuscaloosa. He would sneak out after lunch, after going, you know, in the off season, have a 1 o'clock, and, you know, it was, you know, not told that you had the afternoon off, right? So Sark and I and a couple other guys, coaches, we are on hole 11, which is a par 3. We look down to the right, and we're like, holy shit. Like, we look over there, and it's Saban. He's over here, and there's like a couple branches and stuff in the way. He's like, all right, that's it. It's a par 3. Sark hits a hole-in-one. You're not. Never hit a hole-in-one in his life. Saban is 120 yards away. Like, we're supposed to be at work. We're not supposed to be there. So, like, we are, like, mute. Like, we're jumping up, but, like, nobody's high-fiving. Nobody's yelling. Like, you can't make this up. But that goes to show, like, the fear that Coach Saban would put into grown people.
That's an awesome story.
Did you see them? Did you see them on the golf course?
I did see him on the tee. I did not see the hole-in-one. But these guys did not learn the process very well, because Kirby's technique was he knew the guys I played with. So as soon as I walked out the door, he'd call them and say, which course you going to? And they'd go to the other course. These guys went to the wrong course.
They were young.
Rookie mistakes, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool to see them reminiscing about their time with you.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun together. But, you know, one thing that I'd like to mention is, you know, Frank Signetti, Kirk's dad, I coached for him. And he was one of my mentors. He was one of the best recruiters, best evaluators, very systematic in the way you got players to come to a program. And, you know, Kurt's right. He was a senior quarterback, cocky as hell, you know, in high school. But he learned from that being around his dad, I'm sure, and that had a tremendous impact on him. But, you know, all these guys were different. They all coached a different position. You know, Mario was an offensive line coach. Pete was a defensive coordinator. Dan Lanning was a linebacker guy. Who else are we talking about here? Sig was a receiver coach. Yeah. And they all won a national championship while they were with us. But they had some characteristics that were very similar. They had great competitive character. They were good people. They were good teachers. They could relate well with the players. And there's one thing that they learned from me. It's how to get your ass chewed out. And I hope that they learned how to do it.
Yeah, you need that accountability. I think if you listen to them in any of their press conferences, as we're all keeping up with the week here as we lead into the semifinals, Coach Cignetti said something in a press conference. I was like, I learned more in 1 year with Coach Saban about how to run a program than I did in 27 years of the past. Coach Lanning talked about how the 1 year changed, how his attention to detail. Then he goes over to Kirby. And then you talk about Golding telling his stories. And then Cristobal obviously paying tribute. Very rare does that happen. I hope you're accepting these flowers and understanding you've done great for sports. Now, why didn't Alabama hire somebody from the Saban tree? That's a question for another day. I'm not asking it. I'm not, kinda, but I'm not asking. You deserve these flowers there, brother.
I think it's neat that, of course, you're going to do so much to teach these guys, and they're watching and learning. But then they have to go on to become coordinators and coaches themselves and put their own spin on it. And I think it's one thing, you can't mimic this, right? You can't be that. There's only one this, but you have to be able to try to learn how to take what you learned and take that blueprint and then try to put your own spin on it. And I think they've done a pretty good job of doing that.
And that's the one thing I told each guy, because when they left, they'd always ask me, you know, what do I need to do? And I said, the first thing you need to do is be yourself.
Yeah.
You may have learned a successful process here because I had a lot of great mentors that helped me learn these things.
Yeah.
But you need to be yourself. Don't try to be anybody but who you are.
Who was your mentor? Who impacted your career the most? 2 or 3 names.
George Perlis, Bill Belichick, probably those two the most. But I also learned from every coach that I coached under. You know, whether it was Earl Bruce or whoever it was. And they gave me opportunities. They taught me how to do it. And I was able to take advantage of it and do a good job.
What did Perlis teach?
I was a defensive coordinator at Michigan State for him. They just came from the Steelers winning 4 Super Bowls, and they had a great defense, and I learned that scheme and applied it all through the years.
I'm a big believer in the mentor-mentee program, and to watch Mario Cristobal, that really resonated with me. He said that the way you paid attention to detail, that he took copious notes, and he kept those notebooks, and he's used that now to make his team what it is now, because I live in Miami, and I tell you what, people were questioning him, thinking that he, had a couple of faux pas along the way, but now he has this team constructed kind of like an Alabama team. They're built strong up front. They're built from the inside out, and I believe that's because of the notes that he took while he was an assistant coach with you, Coach Saban.
Well, could you tell Holly that he does have outside people come in, because he's asked me every week to come and speak.
I don't think he's the only one, brother.
You have to be of a certain status to be able to get in there and talk to them.
Reese, you might know better than me. Who taught him how to two-step, though? Who taught,
That's a
Miss
good
Terry.
question.
Terry.
Oh, really?
Step through it.
You think Coach Cristobal's doing that up in his room during recruits, with recruits?
Hey.
I've seen you out there.
We got him, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mario's showing him some MMA move or UFC
Some jiu-jitsu.
that he knows. One of the things that you can't plan for if you're a head coach is how to handle things when your staff is sort of in a bit of disarray. That's what Pete Golding and Ole Miss are dealing with tonight. Pete Thamel is here now. Pete, what do you got for us?
Well, Reese, we've obviously had transfer portal madness this week. We've also had Ole Miss LSU coaches portal madness. Let's start with the most important part tonight, and that's Charlie Weis Jr., the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss. He's obviously been hired to go to LSU. Charlie Weis Jr. is here calling plays again for the 3rd straight playoff game, and his presence will loom the largest over tonight. He had Georgia on roller skates in the Sugar Bowl, as you remember. Also back tonight is Kevin Smith, the running back coach. Tight ends coach Joe Cox and receivers coach George McDonald will not be back tonight in this game. They'll be replaced by 2 analysts for Ole Miss. Patrick Carter, who's been in the receiver room all year, will be the receivers coach, and Fisher Ray, another analyst, will coach the tight ends. Look, this week, guys, the Ole Miss coaching staff really stressed to me that the mechanics of the play calling are not going to be affected by these coach portal moves. The same process is in place. Weis will be calling the plays. There's an analyst named Dane Stevens who is not here tonight, who's kind of Weis's right-hand guy. We'll see if that makes a difference tonight, but for the most part, Ole Miss coaching staff stretched their preparation for this moment and that they're ready for these coaches who aren't going to be here.
Yeah, one thing just to add to that, and you can appreciate this, the operation is going to be different.
Yeah.
John David Baker, who's been actually hired to be Pete Golding's offensive coordinator next year, he's going to be helping where Joe Cox is out back in Baton Rouge. This will be the first game all year that the guy that's going to, he coached at ECU. Now, he was at Ole Miss in 22 and 23 with Charlie Weiss Jr., but this guy was at East Carolina his whole year, is going to be on the sideline for the first time with the tablet going over adjustments. That's weird. That's a change in the game operation, and that's worthy of being noted. That's players like consistency. And you get into this game, and you all of a sudden you're dealing with a guy that's been at East Carolina, even though he's going to be the OC next year. Right. Yeah. Interesting.
I'll say that Golding has done a great job
managing all this.
All of it.
Charlie Weiss.
Yeah, admirable job. Really.
Hot commodity in coaching. Said he relied on his dad, who had to deal with some things. He took the head coaching job and still helping the players get ready for the Patriots for the Super Bowl. There is Trinidad Chambliss greeting his family, close-knit family. Won a national championship, Division II level at Ferris State last year, trying to get Ole Miss in position to play for one tonight. And tomorrow night, it's Oregon and Indiana. A little peek ahead to the Beach Bowl when you come back.
For ages, certainly as long as we've had a college football playoff, people have asked, when are some new bloods going to replace the blue bloods? Well, folks, when is now. If you are of a certain age, you remember when Oregon was really bad at football, like most of the 20th century. But even the dapper Dayglow Ducks we've known since the 90s have yet to celebrate a national title.
We ain't the same team today that we were yesterday.
If you are of any age, then you know that Indiana has never had a football golden age. No offense to Coach Corso and the 1979 Holiday Bowl champs, but that's as good as it got while everyone in Bloomington waited for basketball to tip off. If you are of the Gen X age, then you knew the U, but your kids and grandkids have never seen the Canes on college football's biggest stage.
The Hurricanes, an underdog, will win a national championship again, this time under Coach Jimmy Johnson.
And unless you were an Ole Miss student during the space age, you've never seen the Rebs earn a real championship ring. Yes, the new age of new CFP blood has arrived, and it already feels like it could be one for the ages.
Ryan McGee there. College football playoff bracket brought to you by AT&T. This is what the semifinals look like. Oregon and Indiana tomorrow night. Before this season, Indiana was the losingest team in the history of the sport. No more. Now they're the only undefeated team. Number one. This will be the 6th rematch of the college football playoff era for the previous 5. The team that lost in the regular season got revenge. The only one to sweep was Ole Miss against Tulane, so nobody has been able to sweep against another power conference opponent. They'll play in Atlanta tomorrow night. A couple of reporters already on the scene that we'll hear from momentarily, Molly McGrath and Katie George, as we check in with them. The last time these two teams played, it was the biggest win in Indiana history. They'd never won a game like this on the road. Went into Autzen Stadium and really manhandled the Ducks up front. Oregon kept it close, but the Fernando Mendoza show made the clutch play after throwing a late pick 6. They forced a couple of turnovers. They harassed Dante Moore. Will things be different? Molly and Katie with more.
Well, Reese, we just met with Indiana and Oregon ahead of this rematch, and Katie, neither of these teams are satisfied with how they played in that first matchup.
No, Dante Moore said he and his teammates made that matchup on October 11th bigger than it needed to be. He said he was in his own head. He was overthinking things in the huddle, so much so that his teammates took note. Dan Lanning agreed. He said that Moore pressed too much in that game, but now they have a much better feel for the looks, the pressures that they're going to see from Indiana's defense, and that's the luxury of facing a team twice.
Yeah, and Fernando Mendoza, when he watched back that game, he called it, quote, humbling. He said, you know, I'm such a better quarterback now. Our offense has really evolved since that game, and their center, Pat Coogan, really agreed. He said watching back that game, especially for their offensive line, was, quote, embarrassing, saying we seemingly watched that back millions and millions of times, hammering in on all of the mistakes that we made, and we are determined to redeem ourselves. So this is an Indiana team, Reese, that continues to manufacture an underdog identity.
Well, they are a 3.5-point favorite against the Ducks to be able to sweep them. This Ducks offense, hoping they can be a little more efficient than they were in the first game.
Yeah, they're going to have to be very much more efficient. Don't forget the last time Dante Moore, the quarterback of Oregon, was sacked 6 times. He was pressured 21 out of 42 drop back passes. He only passed for 186 yards, 2 interceptions, and then the last game against Texas Tech, who has a very formidable defensive front too. He was pressured 13 times out of 39 dropbacks. He didn't throw any touchdown passes. He threw 1 interception. Now, they won that game because the Red Raiders offense just didn't make it to the Orange Bowl. I mean, they didn't show up. But outside of that, I need to see more from Oregon's offensive line. They're going to have to protect Dante Moore better because going up against this Indiana front, listen, we saw them against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and then we saw them live and in person against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. That front, man, they can get after the quarterback. The Ducks' offensive line, they're going to have to play the game of their life against Indiana in the second matchup.
Well, you know, everybody talks about Mendoza. You know, everybody talks about their wide receivers, good offensive line, running for 215 against, you know, Alabama in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
But Indiana's defense, man, I'm telling you, these guys are plus 18 in turnovers. They give up 10.3 points a game, which is like second in the country. They're first in red zone defense. They're third in getting off the field on third down. And their rush defense is second in the country. They give up like 74 yards a game. And Oregon only got 4.2 yards per play when they played them the first time. So if they don't develop more consistency on offense, it's going to be really hard. But Indiana's got a really good defensive team.
Yeah, and Indiana showcased that obviously against Alabama, and they've been doing that all year. And I think they were prepared for the moment out at Autzen early in the season, and I think they were excited for the opportunity to showcase that. Since that game, Oregon's obviously gotten much better. Indiana has also gotten much better. But if you think about the Big Ten as a whole, this is potentially 3 straight years with 3 different Big Ten national champions. Now, obviously, Oregon or Indiana will be representing the Big Ten in the national championship, which is real. But for the SEC, if Ole Miss doesn't win tonight, you're talking about the SEC not being in the national championship for 3 straight years. That hasn't happened since 1999 to 2002. Shout out to Marissa for that. So whenever you talk about the Big Ten and tomorrow night, I think you got to talk about that conference's dominance right now in college football. And both those teams go, I think every Big Ten fan thinks they're going to win it all, Kirk. I think that's kind of the combo.
Pendulum is swung because it's not just the national championship with Michigan and Ohio State, potentially Oregon, Indiana. It's the rest of what's been happening. And that's the only thing you've always had to go by. And I know it's subjective and you can go back and forth, but the perception and the optics right now, SEC stock is down these last couple of years and the Big Ten is way up. One thing, you touched on a lot of the stats there, but Bryant Haynes, in my opinion, the defensive coordinator, young guy, I don't know if there's another defense that is connected with the communication from the coordinator to the players on the field the way Bryant Haynes is. And he does an amazing job. There's Corey Heatherman, who's a great defensive coordinator as well from Miami. I think Bryant Haynes does such a good job. He's got hungry players that want to learn, and they're just connected. And you've probably had defenses that aren't connected. Communication's amazing. And you probably had defenses that you're pulling your hair out because if somebody busts or somebody's not on the same page. This Indiana defense, the reason all those numbers is because this guy is an amazing teacher. And I know, Sanford Steve, you've been on both these teams. You've liked them both. What's your gut feel early on this one for tomorrow night?
Well, to your point, Kirk, I talked to Coach Haynes before that Rose Bowl on the field. He was really antsy because that was their first game without Stephen Daly, who was their best guy on the defensive line. Yep. And he was, he just didn't know what his guys were going to bring to the table. I think they showed up pretty well with what he brought to the table.
Accomplished.
But I will say one thing. No one is giving Oregon a chance. It feels like everybody's just been wowed by Indiana after the Rose Bowl. But these rematches with Power 4 teams in the playoff have been pretty good for the team that lost the first one.
Whatever you say, Mr. 5-1, we're going to follow you to the promised land in the CFP.
Good birthday on 3-0 on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Good job.
Happy 2026, brother. Starting out with some heat.
You know what? To your Big Ten point, we saw that shot of Corey Heatherman. He came from the Big Ten.
He did.
From Minnesota. He's come in and changed this defense for the Hurricanes. Or Dr. Pepper, one final team vote favors to win the national championship. If there were doubters in the Hoosiers before, not anymore in the public. 61% believing Indiana will ultimately win the national championship. Everybody else pretty tightly bunched together.
Let's just not go over that. That's Indiana.
It's Indiana.
Convincing
You remember
convincing.
At the end of the Rose Bowl, Signetti was talking to Holly, and he said, "Why should we be surprised? Because we're Indiana." Yes,
yeah,
exactly, because we're Indiana. That's what makes it the greatest turnaround ever.
Yeah, let's celebrate.
Yeah, man.
They're starting to talk about Signetti doing something that.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. In 2 years, here are the semifinals. Verbo Fiesta Bowl tonight. Miami and Ole Miss 10th seed against the 6th, and then Indiana, Oregon tomorrow. And there's the guy who almost took Miami to the playoff a year ago, the great Cam Ward, just over an hour away from kickoff here. And here's the new Canes quarterback, who already owns 2 national championship rings himself, but as a backup to Stetson Bennett in Georgia, and now trying to get Miami to the national championship game. Carson Beck and the Canes against Golding's defense tonight in the greater Phoenix area.
This has been everything to me. Cut me open, I'm orange and green, man.
It's Miami, it's Florida, it's the culture. You either are with it or you're against it.
All you could think about is, the guys that came before you and just wanting to do the right things for those guys, that I want to see the U get back to where it's supposed to be.
Growing up as a kid, this is all I knew. Only football that I knew. The U means family to me.
Swag, violence, confidence.
It's a program, it's a standard, it's a way of life. Everything I grew up knowing and everything I died knowing.
It wasn't the look.
It is a tight fraternity. A lot of former Canes coming back to see. There is Greg Olson, great broadcaster, tremendous player. You need to watch Miami take on Ole Miss tonight. And, of course, they'll be led by Carson Beck, the former Georgia starter who made his transfer to Miami. And on his resume, Carson Beck has thrown for more than 11,000 yards and owns 2 national championship rings as a backup at Georgia. But he might be better recognized, at least over the offseason, for having his Lamborghini lifted, for having his private life splashed all over social media, throw in a really serious injury. And it's been a pretty long year for Carson Beck. It was no secret that he really relished the opportunity to take on Georgia in this game had the Bulldogs won. But if you think about it, it might be better for Carson. He doesn't have to rehash the past. He doesn't have to talk about why he left. Instead, as Andrea Adelson tells us, he can sort of draw inspiration from the tattoo you'll find on his right bicep of a phoenix. Rise from the ashes, which is exactly what Beck feels like he's done.
Nothing but a second left. You got to chuck it down in the end zone.
Final play of the half. Beck got hit.
And he's down.
Hard. Yeah.
There's part of me that knew something wasn't right. I couldn't even grip a football in the locker room at halftime. The next day I go in and I get MRI imaging. Then our trainer walks out and I could just tell in the tone of his voice that it was not gonna be okay. I just went out to my car and I called my mom and I just sat there and I cried. They take a thing called an internal brace. They weave it through your UCL, drill 2 holes on either side in your bones, and then they tighten it back up.
What was going through your mind in terms of what future of football might look like?
I was in a very dark place. That was hard to see any type of future.
A big story in college football. Carson Beck has committed to Miami.
Can you describe the difficulty of what you faced once you started doing the rehab on your elbow?
It was really, really painful. There was mornings where I didn't want to come to the facility and do rehab. I was like, dude, screw this. Like, this sucks. Like, it was awful. My elbow was just getting cranked on, and I'm yelling on the table. At some point, you just have to say screw it and just go.
Well, we're all eager to see how he looks. Off his back, fired, caught! Touchdown.
Launches downfield. Touchdown Miami.
They're on a roll right now.
Walk-in score. Beck's in the shotgun. Hand off Tony. Touchdown.
Welcome to the Cotton Bowl Classic. Beck hits one for touchdown Miami. Beck steps up, takes off, and gets a first down. Miami advances to the semifinal. Their biggest win in 23 years.
Being able to turn such a negative and impactful moment on my life into something positive is something that I'm really proud of.
What an opportunity it is for Carson Beck. And he talked about a team meeting after the loss to SMU. Everybody looked in the mirror. Is it me? The reason they've lost a couple of games, one of the big things that Carson Beck has done is he hasn't turned the football over. Just one interception in his last 6 games. And he's also been very content to let the running game lead the way. Mark Fletcher has more yards rushing than Miami has yards passing in this college football playoff.
That's a great point. And I really think from the SMU game on, where he had the 3 picks, everything changed. They really took the game and changed the style of offense, running the football, kind of screen game, just didn't take as many chances downfield. And with the offensive line and the run game they have, they've been able to do that. Now, Shannon Dawson, to me, he got some criticism after the A&M game. By the way, he was on the road, heavy winds. Pat could attest to with a field goal contest that day. And you're down on the field calling the game. And, they did what they had to do. They managed the game and they played to their strengths, which, the defense. So if you're going to err on anything, err on being conservative. But I thought in the Ohio State game, he did a really good job of showing what he's capable of as a play caller. I asked him, he said he keeps a couple in his back pocket. This is great blocking schemes. It gives you blocking angles. Instead of the tight end going up to that slot defender, he goes outside. The receiver, Tony, comes inside. You get 2 blocking angles, and it opens up for Mark Fletcher to get downhill. Now, how about this? 3rd and 1. Look at this. Overset heavy. Not just 2 offensive linemen and tight end. They're going to pull the guard, and now you get the linebacker thinking, okay, quarterback run. Look at Fletcher on 3rd and 1. Nobody's there to account for him. All that attention with the beef to the right gets the eyes of the defense, and they're able to slip him into the end zone. This will be a key tonight, getting the playmakers in space. Obviously, C.J. Daniels, Malachi Toney. This is a great job of getting leverage. He has the option route to go inside or outside with the defender to the inside. Throws the football to the outside. Easy completion. 3rd and 4. Eye candy. That linebacker, he is reading the guard. You got the receivers out there. You're going to throw a screen, but pulling that guard, look at that linebacker go with him. Now you just get up behind that pulling tackle, and then you got a runway. That was another 3rd down conversion. Down the stretch of the game, those 3rd downs, he had to go to like a couple tricks, a couple wrinkles. It's not ridiculous, exotic, but it's enough to, I think, give this offense, an edge when it comes into the schematics of a game like this one.
Well, and I think they've done a great job with their offense. First of all, they have a huge offensive line. They line up with basically no splits. So it makes it very difficult to stun on them, which Pete likes to do on defense, to penetrate gaps. That's not going to happen. But it's going to be important that they can control the line of scrimmage and control the football in this game and shrink the game. So that means they've got to make those kind of plays on 3rd down. But they also got to be able to run the ball so they have manageable 3rd downs. If Ole Miss can create negative plays to get them off schedule, that could be a problem.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, getting them off schedule has been an issue because Carson, whenever he has been protected over the last 2 college football playoff games, because I've had a chance to watch, finding the right decision, making the right decisions, doing what he has to do with the defense that we have, with the run game that we have, let alone Brown coming in the 4th quarter, running back in relief of Fletcher and kind of putting the game away. Malachi Toney's all over the place. I love what Carson Beck's doing. Now for the Ole Miss defense, they got a couple big-time names. And Stanford Steve and I were just talking about some reps that were happening with Golding in the playoff game. The D-line, the first time they played Georgia, guys were getting a lot of plays. This last time, Golding tried to sub them out, less plays to get a little bit more action around the quarterback. Is that what you saw, Stanford Steve, from this Ole Miss defense?
Yeah, just going back to it, Harris played 73 snaps in the first Georgia game. He got him down to 52. Eccles, the other D tackle, 75 snaps in the first game, down to 60 in that rematch. And you saw how much better they were in the 4th quarter after the disaster in Athens in game 1 in the 4th quarter.
And getting penetration for this to stop Mark Fletcher, getting penetration to get Carson Beck's way, that is what Ole Miss is going to want. So I like the move by Golding, trying to keep them fresh and fast. What matter against the Miami offensive line, we shall see.
It was very effective against Georgia. Kirby Smart, after the game, said they had problems with their stunts up front. Let me show you what Miami's offense is going to have to deal with when Ole Miss is on defense. Let's start with this Oxford Outlaws. We talking about Will Eccles, Daugherty, and of course Xavier Harris. My man right here, the enforcer, Will Eccles. Now at the point of attack, there are going to be 3 double teams on these guys, but watch the one in the middle. That's Eccles. He's going to beat the right guard and right tackle, get a TFL. He has 11 tackles for loss on the season. And how about Stonewall? Xavier Harris, 6'8", 330. Triple teamed at one point, gets his hand up, makes the quarterback hold the ball, gives him time to get to the quarterback, sacks the quarterback, and the right guard who's trying to hold him up. And then T.J. Daugherty, black hat. Why is he black hat? Because he has the green dot. He gets the plays from the DC, and he's the communicator. goes out there, causes a fumble.
Good to see
7
you, man.
guys around the ball. That's what I'm talking about. This Ole Miss defense. They played big when they had to against last week against Georgia. And that was Jason Taylor, who's a Hall of Fame defensive end and defensive line coach for the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say one thing. You mentioned some really good players on Ole Miss's defense, but number 4, Perkins, I mean, this cat makes a lot of plays. He can rush the passer. He's fast, makes a lot of tackles for loss. He's going to be a factor in this game one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The Canes taking the field to start their warm-ups. You guys mentioned getting them off schedule. Miami only 18% of the time, 0 negative yards on first down. That's 3rd best in the country over the course of the season.
I'll tell you, that windy game that Kirk alluded to down there at Texas A&M, it felt like every time they gave the ball to Fletcher, there was a chance that was going to be a home run. He's so big, so strong, so fast. If they're able to give him anything, he can break it. And then obviously Malachi Toney with the ball in his hands, special. He'll return it, he'll run it, he'll block. He's been fullback for this Miami team.
To me, I don't even want to watch him catch tonight. I just want to watch him hit people. I
He's
can't wait to watch him
That's
block.
when he's at his best, I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing he needs to do, though,
what's that?
Got to have ball security, baby. 3 turnovers.
Exactly right.
He got to do it.
No,
he got to do it. This guy's a tough dog now. He's a dog.
Not 3 turnovers, 3 fumbles, only 1 turnover. The other 2 bounce right up to him because he's been living good. Which
Well, you know, they call him Baby Jesus.
And he was thanking all the Jesuses whenever that ball bounced right back up to him a couple times. He does.
So you don't think it bounced back up to you? Is that what you're saying?
I've been living great.
That's sort of ironic. He's got 0 drops, but he's had some drops in area.
Exactly.
Really.
Ole Miss is fully aware of that. We'll call the game tonight, my friend.
Yes,
you
sir.
and Chris Fowler ready to
roll.
bring him home, see what's happening.
Yeah.
I hear you got some people in the truck a little under the weather. You guys going to have to
Billy
pull them
Vanell
through.
is going to have to
Well,
play
teamwork, right?
fight through some pain tonight.
Hey, can I say this? Can I say this, Herbie?
Yes, sir.
You've had a hell of a year, man.
Thank you,
Your
buddy.
energy level throughout it all has been very admirable and inspirational. You're going to crush this with Fowler.
Thanks,
man.
brother.
Actually, you've been busting your ass, dude.
Thank you.
And you're still in shape.
You know it. You do the
I was
same
going to
thing.
say, speaking of busting tails, you too.
busted tail,
You're calling
too.
the game
He's
on the
calling
field
the game
pass
tonight,
today.
field pass.
Yeah, if you want
and tomorrow night.
Yeah, if you want to lack of professionalism, we'll certainly be on ESPN too. Herbie, hell of a run. Go ahead, Coach.
And based on that video, you're looking better than ever.
I agree.
Hey, man, brother.
Let's see, you come around, we all get in shape.
Straighten up.
Hey, look what we've got coming. Pat's alluded to it. What a weekend. Wild card Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Texans and the Steelers, who got in there, thanks to that last second miss on the field goal and that great Texan defense and pass rush going against Pittsburgh. Of course, Peyton and Eli will be on as well. Here is Trinidad Chambliss. He has really transcendent performances. He's revolutionized Ole Miss's offense, and he'll try to take them to a place he hasn't been by continuing his magic ways.
Trinidad's magic as a leader and as a QB is sometimes it's unexplainable, you know. The plays he makes when we need him, it's awesome. You can always count on six.
He's just different, man. He's different on and off the field. No matter what the situation is, you're going to find a way.
He can make plays in the air, make it on the run. He has the control over the whole offense, and he just puts us in the right positions to succeed.
You know, after the first play, my nerves go away, and then it's just time to just execute what we've been planning the whole week and just, you know, playing ball and being free and not really thinking about what you're doing and just win the game, really.
It's a Caesars Superdome on a beautiful first night in 2026.
Two old foes, Georgia and Ole Miss, are back together in the Sugar Bowl.
I think Ole Miss has the scheme, they have the players, and this is the biggest game in school history.
Running right is Chambliss, fires into the end zone, snagging it for the touchdown. There's a fumble, picked up by Daly Everett. Touchdown, Georgia.
All right, this is real simple. You got 30 minutes of football left. That's all you're guaranteed. If you want another opportunity, you got to control it. You control it one step at a time.
Running right is Lacey, untouched, into the end zone. Chambliss going to reverse directions. He looks like Archie. He's got the first down. Lacey straight ahead. He lunges toward the end zone. The Rebels have taken the lead. Stockton is out there, and he's under pressure. And sacked. Harrison Wallace heading to the
Georgia has made it a one-score game again.
Peyton Woodring ties the game with less than a minute to go.
Chambliss lobbing it up behind the defense. Dejan struggling.
Here is Carnero to give Ole Miss the lead.
The Ole Miss Rebels have knocked off the Georgia Bulldogs. Arizona, here we come.
What a game that was. Sort of gave us a great capper to what had been a lackluster New Year's Day, a game for the ages for Trinidad Chambliss. AT&T countdown to the College Football Playoff National Championship, the semifinals here in Glendale coming up in just a little over half an hour. As you look at the most 300-yard passing games in Ole Miss history, Jordan Ta'amu has one more than Trinidad Chambliss this year. The 362 yards for Chambliss against Georgia was a season high for him. You know, if you go to Oxford, the campus-wide speed limit at Ole Miss is 18 miles per hour in honor of the great Archie Manning's jersey number, though there are some streets in which you have to keep it to 10 or under to pay tribute to Eli Manning. You had Trinidad Chambliss win a couple more games, you're going to have to get out and push your car all the way through Oxford because the speed limit is going to be 6. But when Trinidad is at the wheel, they are full throttle, man. It is like driving on the Autobahn. But it turns out this Hurricane defense can set a nasty speed trap. They have some edgy spikes coming out there to try to throw you off course, and before you know it, you can wind up turned upside down in a ditch and total.
Chambliss lobbing it up behind the defense.
This offense is really scary. We got weapons anywhere. It's kind of hard for a defensive coordinator or defensive players to prep for Ole Miss football.
They have elite players all over the field, explosive tight ends, a lot of speed on the perimeter and in the backfield, tough physical team. So all 11 guys have to be on the same page and play really, really hard and smart football.
After the loss of 6, another pass play that's intercepted.
It's something that you can't explain. Just a defense that no matter what's going on, just want to hunt at all times. We want to swarm. We want to be violent. We want to be the most excited team on the field.
We're in the playoffs. The best of the best is going to face off. So we're going to see who stands last.
And this is the strength on strength. This Miami defense so disruptive. They don't necessarily take the defensive linemen off the field. So how many plays the Ole Miss offense can generate, how long they can keep the ball, how quickly they can go might be a big deal, and they put up nearly 500 yards per game behind Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, this dude's special. Now, obviously, we were introduced to him in week 3 or whatever, and he's Trinidad Chambliss. And then you start watching him play, this is Winidad. That's what this guy does. He's seemingly the smartest guy on the field, the most athletic guy on the field. He can make every single play that you need him to make whenever he has to make it. He's clutch. He's obviously D2 national champion. And whenever he got into this Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr. offense, it felt like it was a match made in heaven for the folks at Ole Miss. He's got weapons around him that can go get it, but it's really all on his shoulders. We have some tape here to showcase just how special this guy is. He seemingly can do it all. Now, the clutch throws are what make him Trinidad and turn him into Winidad. Here's a mug look. You know, they're trying to distract, maybe affect a little bit of the protection. They choose wrong, actually. They look to the right where the mug looks because those guys back out. Boom, corner blitz, hot, free man. Trinidad acknowledges it, extends the play. We all watch this. He ran 748 yards in the game. Right here, maybe 120 of them before dropping it down for a massive first down to extend the game and then try to go get a big-time win. And then when you talk about dropping dimes, he can do it from anywhere. He can do it from in the pocket whenever his feet are set, or he can roll outside, get the edge on your Georgia defense, and drop one in a bucket on a layered throw in between a linebacker and a safety. And then the RPO game, you got to account for him because how he can run. We got a heavy box. Kirby Smart says, we're not going to let him beat us. Well, I know you're one-on-one on the outside. I like my guy, especially whenever I back shoulder. You're talking about special college football talent that we're watching here. And when the moment's the biggest, 32 seconds left, fourth quarter, 34-34. What are you going to do, D2 guy? Coach Saban says, okay, and he says, you're damn right.
Damn good is
Put
what I'm
this thing
talking
in
about.
there. Yes, absolutely, Coach. It's very real, though, that he is a sensation, and he certainly should be with the way he's shown up in the biggest moments.
I tell you what, guys, when you have a player on your squad like Chambliss, man, he just gives everyone confidence that it does not matter what the situation is. you always know you have a chance to win that game. I mean, that was an excellent tape. It shows you how this guy, he never gives up on the play. The defense, he makes the defense defend the whole field. And then Kewan Lacey, I mean, they got great news from him. He said he's coming back. People thought he might hop into the portal. He's coming back. One of the best running backs in the country at forcing missed tackles. Great receiver out of the backfield, too. And Deshaun Stribling. What I love about Deshaun is that he's able to catch hitches, slants, and then take them the distance. Fast, quick, very agile, excellent hands. Just a guy who goes up and make contested catches all the time, too. They have some weapons out there in this offense.
No doubt about it. They've got great receivers, but I love this guy, Lacey.
Yeah.
You know, only Derrick Henry and Najee Harris scored more touchdowns than this guy, so he's in pretty high cotton.
He's special. No doubt about it. 23 of them so far, and they'll need a little bit more from him. We also talked a little bit about Harrison Wallace. He had a career night, just like Stribling did in the Sugar Bowl. But this, you know, they've had to be able to mask some things, Nick, because you start looking at those offensive line grades. They blow some blocks up front. Sometimes they're able to compensate for it. Going against this Miami defense, man, I mean, you're going to have a handful. You're going to have to be assignment sound.
Well, you've heard me say this before. I loves this defense. That's much better than loving them. I mean, these guys are special up front. I mean, they have 46 sacks on the year, 12 sacks in these playoff games, and they're only allowing like 2.81 yards a rush, so they're hard to run against, which I think is going to be a real key for them here tonight, because you got to try to get Ole Miss off schedule and make them one-dimensional so you can control the quarterback in the pocket. So the keys are stop the run, affect the quarterback, limit the explosive plays, get off the field on third down, because that's when they're going to go mock speed when they make a first down. So let me show you what I mean here.
Hell yeah.
I got to take.
Right, let's go.
All right, so this is just how hard these guys are to block. What makes a good defensive lineman? 99, hard to block. 4, hard to block. 2 guys trying to block them. 10, hard to block. 0, sets the edge, tackle for a loss. These guys are really, really good. So then the other thing they're going to have to do when they take the run away is stop these advantage throws that Ole Miss is going to use all the time, and they do a good job in block protection on the perimeter. Here they're creating one-on-ones up front so that they have to block 5-on-5, and they can't help on the good rushers. Here you see an overload rush. See 3 and 4 together, that's a problem. They run a wide U game. As soon as 3 gets to the hip of the tackle, they're dead. They can't pass off the game. They got a sack. And then they overload it again, so Ohio State's going to slide to the overload. Now they're going to break 41 on the center's hip. They can't pass the game off. Quarterback's got to throw the ball away. So these guys can affect the quarterback a lot of ways, but it's going to be really important in this game that they get it done tonight.
Watching this Miami defense live, they're tackling through ground too. This is like every tackle is a hit stick. It is, and if they're getting around the quarterback's going to feel them, even if the ball gets out. Julian Sane got hit a lot. I think 22 pressures or something like that. And you could tell early whenever he felt the pain from the Miami Hurricanes.
No doubt.
And the rest of the game was different. They take a lot of pride in that. Mesidor, dog. Bain, dog. And they get after it. And they want to hurt you. They want to hurt you. I mean, that is how they play.
And all these people talk about breaking down to make tackles. Ain't none of these cats breaking down, man. They're running right through your ass.
They try to run through you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mesidor right there, listen, that guy on one side and obviously Bain on the other side, they're just problems. They're trouble. But then against Ohio State, Heatherman put them on the same side, too. So the way they can move these different parts around to affect an offensive line is just incredible.
Keontae Scott, that pick 6 last week, obviously popped that game wide open. Hits the Jim Thorpe pose after doing that.
That was sweet. That was sweet.
Everything they're about is like the moxie that the Miami Hurricanes have always had. Keontae Scott, obviously incredible ball skills. He'll thump you. All these dudes will thump. I mean, that's very apparent whenever you watch him.
And that's their philosophy. I spoke to Corey Heatherman in D.C. He said it's all about ESV. Extra, you want to be effort, swarm, and violence. And every time they hit somebody, listen, you talked to the refs before last week's game against Ohio State, and they said they were going to let them be physical, right? And that was a physical brand of football we saw from the Canes. But listen, talking to Heather, he said there was 3 plays, a 3-play sequence that really affected that game. Let me show you those 3 plays. And it talks about their mentality. Now, this is when Ohio State hit the Canes with a haymaker. They threw the ball to Jeremiah Smith, their best player, an explosive play, 59-yard catch. They're instantly in the red zone. But Miami, they came back with a counterpunch. Their best player, Ruben Bain Jr., disposes of the left guard. He gets the sack, and now they hit Ohio State with the knockout blow. 2nd and 16. Jeremiah Smith whips on the block. Keith Scott gets the pick 6. This exemplifies a team that can move on from a big play. They didn't worry about that big explosive play with Jeremiah Smith down the field. They forgot about it. They focused, they concentrated, and they executed in the red zone. And that was a 14-point flip. One that Corey Heatherman said really changed the outcome of that game, even though it happened in the first half.
Legends everywhere. Ray Lewis just stopped by.
Where's Big Ray?
Yeah, Ray Lewis just stopped by with Dopes. He's with Michael Phelps. And then
Blue, Michael, come here, man.
Calais Campbell's walking by. This is what it is when Miami is here. Ray Lewis is here.
Good to see you. Yes, sir. My God. When we gonna get on the bike again, brother? When we gonna ride on bikes again? Come on.
Hey,
Michael Irvin's got to have some backup in here tonight.
I'll be here this weekend.
Get out. Get out.
Calais. Now, when you
good to see you, bro. Love you, bro.
I saw a big 99 in the middle, Ahmad Moten, and we saw him warming up. Pete, what's the latest on the big guy in the interior? You might get a little overlooked in this Cane defense sometime.
Yeah, Reese, I just went over and talked to defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman. He told me Ahmad Moten is good to go tonight. He will not start this game. Armando Blount will get the start, but he expects Moten, after watching him warm up today and this morning, to have a full complement of snaps. Same for O.J. Frederic. One piece of bad news for Miami, Reese. Damari Brown, the corner, is out. So good news for Ole Miss. Starting defensive end Cam Franklin will play and start tonight. He'd been questionable. And then finally, Reese, an update to a story we've been tracking closely the last 48 hours. I've been told by sources within the last 15 minutes that Washington quarterback Damond Williams is leaning toward returning to the Huskies. He'd obviously announced 48 hours ago he intended to enter the NCAA transfer portal. LSU was his likely destination. Today's been a busy day for Damond Williams. His agent fired him. He picked up a lawyer, prominent attorney Darren Heitner, who works a lot of these eligibility cases. I've been told that Damond Williams spent most of today discussing his options. If he was to leave and transfer, he was going to face legal action from Washington. Sources there had made it clear to me they were going to enforce the $4.5 million contract he had just signed 4 days before announcing he was going to go in the portal. So again, it's not done, Reese, but the lean is to go back. I've been told the decision is imminent, but not final.
Well, Pete, I would imagine that there are going to have to be some bridges that are repaired in Washington if he stays there.
I'll tell you.
Pat and fellas, you got the field pass coming up. 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN.
You want to get dumber, have a good time, we'll be over there. It's great. The game is going to live up to the expectation of everything, so we're lucky as hell to be here. And, yeah, we'll be on the sideline. It's amazing seeing everybody right now.
Isn't it cool?
I mean, this
really is, bro.
This is national championship vibes here.
This feels big.
Feels real.
Yes, sir.
Thanks to our aviation partners, Fly House. They help us get our celebrity guest picker to College Game Day every week. We'll continue, speaking of celebrities, keeping an eye on all of these guys for the Canes showing up, and the Golding Standard has been a good one 2 games in. We'll give you a little bit of background on Pete Golding when you come back.
I think the easiest thing is I'm comfortable in my own skin. Because when I lay my head down at night, I know I treat people the right way.
Verbo presents Take It to the House Sweepstakes, where Verbo is giving away a free vacation for every touchdown scored during today's game. Scan the code or go to verbosweepstakes.com to enter. Verbo, vacation rentals done right.
Again in the NFL, and there is WWE superstar Nikki Bella with 100 days from WrestleMania on ESPN, and she has an ESPN WWE College Football Playoff National Championship title.
That's right. Not
it's
a belt.
A title, not a belt. You know, his birth certificate identifies him as Stephen Thomas Golding. As an infant, Pete Golding's dad held him on his knee and said, Petey Pie, Petey Pie. Eventually, the name stuck. Now you can call him Playoff Pete, because among all SEC coaches, only Kirby Smart and Nick Saban have more playoff victories than Playoff Pete.
Most people that discuss you. You say, Pete knows exactly who he is. So if you were to distill it down, what attributes or traits do you think define you?
My mom has taught me at a very early age of integrity and speaking the truth. I think the easiest thing is I'm comfortable in my own skin, because when I lay my head down at night, I know I treat people the right way. Man, look, I ain't here to be your friend. You got friends, I got friends. This is based on developing, hold you accountable as a man, trying to show you the right example, and coaching the out of you, I'm all in. I know I'm gonna try to be a great father, a great husband, and all those things. So whether my neighbor thinks I am or not, I really don't give a to be honest with you.
What up, Evan? You good? Yes, sir.
There is no varnish to Pete Golding, a football coach's son. His sensibilities and direct approach to relationships were shaped by his hometown, Hammond, Louisiana.
Everything to me was always about ball. Like, I love competing. Like, I didn't watch cartoons. Like, my friends hated to spend the night at my house on Friday nights, because on Saturday morning we're not watching cartoons. Like, we're watching sports or we're outside.
My man.
And I was one of those dudes that, you know, I went outside when I got home from school and I played till the street lights came on. That was my mom's rule.
After high school, a pair of teammates visited Delta State University and dragged Golding along. He ran the 40 in a parking lot and was offered a scholarship. He started all 4 years and became an all-conference safety. When his playing days were done, fate intervened.
Going into that spring, they're like, hey, why don't you come and be a GA? I know you're not graduated, but we'll continue to pay for your school to get your degree. Like, we'll think you'll be really good at it.
Golding became a football lifer, climbing the coaching ladder across Division II. In 2010, at age 26, he helped lead his alma mater to the Division II National Championship game.
Touchdown, Delta State.
8 years later, after stops at Southeastern Louisiana, Southern Miss, and UTSA, Golding in 2018 received a phone call from Tuscaloosa, and Nick Saban changed his life.
We talked about it, and he offered me the job. I was like, Coach, I'm all in. He's like, you wanna know what you're coaching? I was like, Coach, I don't care. He's like, you wanna know how much you're making? I was like, Coach, I don't care.
Golding spent 5 years on Saban's staff at Alabama, winning the national championship in the 2020 season.
Alabama does it. 13-0, absolute perfection.
3 seasons later, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin brought Golding on as defensive coordinator, which ultimately paved the way for him to become Kiffin's successor for the Rebels.
Ole Miss is on to the college football playoff semifinal.
What did we say from the very beginning? All right, how many teams excited at the end of this? What we said the whole time, like, why not who? Why not us?
What do moments like that teach you about you?
My preparation going into it, I never fear anybody because I know I'm gonna outwork the other side. People get scared when they're not prepared. And I don't care if we're playing pickleball or football, like if we're gonna play, man, I'm trying to win. When you execute and you do things right, you can beat anybody you want. Right? So we don't be scared, right? Let's prepare the right way and practice the right way and do everything the right way.
Pete Golding's been the toast of the town. The Ole Miss band on the field behind us, 63,400 will be in here to watch this college football playoff semifinal. Best Bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. What is it, big fella? What do you got tonight?
All weekend, we got playoff football all weekend. The key to winning playoff football, run the ball, stop the run. Miami does it better. They've perfected shrinking games in this playoff run. I'm taking to you.
Jeez. 5-1, right? 5-1 in the last 6 he's been?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're seeing the field well. He likes Miami.
Start to 2026. Good job.
The Ole Miss fans were just very loud. I think it's going to be pretty raucous.
Give you a little hotty-toddy?
Hell yeah, damn right.
College Game Day is built by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. And in part by Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
A
I'll be very anxious to get on the field and play that first snap. And I'm really, really excited for this opportunity, and I know this team is as well.
Our emotions are high, juices are flowing right now. Just focus and just know that it's game.
You dream about playing in games like this with your brothers. It's breathtaking.
My mind doesn't stop. To me, it's like cramming for a final. And you're going through and trying to prepare yourself to be ready.
Playing football in January, it's a blessing, so anticipation is definitely growing.
We're closing in on kickoff of Miami and Ole Miss. This is the biggest game in Ole Miss history. They've never won an AP national championship. UPI coaches in the old days. Only a Football Writers Association went in the 60s. Time now for our game pick brought to you by Coors Light. College football playoff semifinal. Who goes to the national championship game? Do you or Ole Miss?
It's going to come down to the battle in the trenches. You look at Ole Miss, they got some dogs with Harris and Echols up front. But Massador, Ruben Bain, Scott from Miami, I think this group, they've been just adopted the passion from their head coach, Mario Cristobal. So I'm going with the U. I will see you guys January 19th at Hard Rock.
Okay.
So I think Ole Miss can win this game if they can get ahead in the game, take Miami out of their comfort zone, get them tired by going fast. But I don't think that's happening. I'm taking Miami.
Wow. Okay, you like Miami. What would you be telling them right now? Your final message to the Miami Hurricanes stepping up for the biggest game they've had in some time.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say I will not be denied what I want. Sugar Ray Leonard said that when he fought Roberto Duran the second time after he lost the first time and got no moss out of it.
No moss, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody have the discipline to execute. Play with your best as a football player, your best effort, your best toughness, your best discipline to execute, and everybody do it together.
Yep. Yes, sir.
We're going to kick somebody's ass tonight.
I don't know if Miami heard that or not, and I'm calling the game, so I'd like to be non-biased, but I'll tell you what, I think Cristobal is delivering the same message. Give me the Miami Hurricanes and a clean sweep here on our set. And Ole Miss people, you've been battling against the odds all damn season. Go ahead and prove us wrong tonight. It'll take a special effort, we think, against this Hurricanes team, Reese.
Well, Pat, there's no question about that, but Ole Miss has delivered some special efforts. Do they have one more in them? Trinidad Chambliss against this great Hurricane defense. Closing in on kickoff. Don't forget, Pat McAfee and the guys with a field pass. You'll be able to see that on ESPN2. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit will have the call right here for this Fiesta Bowl.